My girlfriend shocked me right when we were about to get engaged. She said, "I'm leaving with my friend, and we're having a baby together." I replied, "Congratulations." Then I canceled the engagement ring and changed everything. But just 2 days later, she was standing in front of my door, crying. I'm a 32-year-old logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping company in Denver. Not glamorous, but it pays well, around $85,000 a year, plus I had a decent savings account and a rental property my late grandfather left me. I'm the kind of guy who plans everything. Budget spreadsheets, retirement contributions, even had a 3-ring binder for the wedding we were supposed to have in 8 months. That's just who I am. Methodical, careful, maybe boring to some people. Her name was Jenna. We'd been together for 4 years. Met at a mutual friend's barbecue in the summer of 2020, started dating a month later, moved in together after 2 years. She worked as a dental hygienist, made decent money, and we split everything 50-50ths. I thought we were solid. I really did. We had routines. Sunday morning pancakes, Thursday night movie marathons, monthly budget meetings where we'd plan out our finances together. It was comfortable. It was stable. It was exactly what I thought a good relationship should be. 3 weeks ago, I picked up the engagement ring. Custom made, white gold, princess cut diamond, just over a carat. Cost me $11,000. I had a reservation at this upscale Italian place downtown for Friday, March 7th. I was going to propose right after dessert, probably during that awkward moment when the waiter clears the plates and you're waiting for the check. I'd even practiced the damn speech in my car on my commute home, trying to get the words right without sounding cheesy. But on March 4th, everything collapsed. I came home around 6:30 p.m. after a long day dealing with a delayed freight shipment from California. The warehouse was a mess. Customs had flagged 3 containers for inspection, and my boss was breathing down my neck about delivery timelines. I was exhausted, looking forward to ordering takeout and watching some TV. Jenna was sitting on the couch with her best friend, Lauren. They both looked like they'd been crying. My first thought was someone died. Maybe Lauren's mom, who'd been sick last year. "Hey, what's wrong?" I asked, dropping my keys on the counter and loosening my tie. Jenna stood up, wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her cardigan. "We need to talk." Lauren just stared at the floor, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. That's when my stomach dropped. Those 4 words, "we need to talk," they never mean anything good. "Okay," I said slowly, sitting down in the armchair across from them. The leather creaked under my weight. "What's going on?" Jenna took a deep breath, and I watched her chest rise and fall. Then she said the words I'll never forget. "Lauren and I are in love. We're together now. And we're planning to have a baby together." I just sat there. My brain couldn't process it. The words made sense individually, but strung together like that, they were gibberish. I thought I misheard. "What?" I finally managed to say. "I've been seeing Lauren for 6 months, Jenna continued, her voice shaking but determined. "We didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And we want to start a family. She's going to carry our baby through IVF. We're already looking at clinics in the area, talking to fertility specialists." Lauren finally looked up, her eyes meeting mine for just a second before darting away. "I'm sorry. We both are. But this is real. This isn't some phase or experiment." I looked between them, waiting for someone to laugh, to say it was some twisted joke. Some weird prank video they were filming for social media. But they were dead serious. Jenna's jaw was set in that way it gets when she's made up her mind about something. I'd seen that look when she quit her first dental job because the dentist was a jerk. When she decided we were moving in together. When she announced she was going back to school for a certification. "Congratulations," I said flatly. Then I stood up, my legs feeling like they weren't quite attached to my body. "I'm going to my brother's. I'll be back tomorrow to figure out living arrangements." "Wait, Aaron, please, can we talk about this more?" Jenna started, reaching toward me, but I was already walking toward the door. I grabbed my keys, walked out, and drove to Greg's place on autopilot. I don't even remember the drive. 1 minute I was leaving the apartment, the next I was parked in his driveway, staring at my steering wheel. Update 1. I stayed at my brother Greg's place that night. He's 2 years younger than me, works as an electrician, and has always been the more laid-back one between us. He listened to the whole thing while we sat on his back porch drinking beer, the March air still cold enough that I could see my breath when I talked. He kept shaking his head like he couldn't believe it either. "So she's just leaving?" "After 4 years," he asked, taking a long pull from his Coors Light. "Apparently." And you didn't see any signs? I thought about it. Late nights at work. More time with Lauren, girls' nights, weekend trips, that week-long vacation to Portland they took in January. Jenna being distant during sex, going through the motions, but never really present. I'd chalked it up to work stress, burnout from dealing with difficult patients. Looking back, I was an idiot. All the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. I guess I did, I admitted. I just didn't want to believe it. Greg nodded slowly. So what are you going to do? What can I do? She made her choice. The next morning, I woke up on Greg's couch with a stiff neck and a headache. I called the jewelry store and explained the situation. The woman on the phone, Angela, her name tag probably said, was surprisingly understanding and agreed to a full refund minus a $500 restocking fee. Fine. Whatever. Then I canceled the restaurant reservation. The hostess asked if I wanted to reschedule, and I almost laughed. Then I called my landlord. The apartment was in my name, had been since before Jenna moved in, and gave him a heads up that Jenna would be moving out. Then I texted Jenna, "You have 2 weeks to find a place. I'm keeping the apartment." She responded an hour later, "That's fair. I'll be out by the 18th. I'm sorry it had to be like this." I didn't respond to the apology. What was I supposed to say? It's okay that you broke my heart and destroyed our future? Yeah, no thanks. That was it. No fight. No begging. Just done. Over the next few days, I threw myself into work. Stayed late, volunteered for extra shifts, took on projects nobody else wanted. Anything to keep my mind busy. At home, I started packing up her stuff into boxes. Clothes, books, that collection of scented candles she loved, the ridiculous amount of throw pillows she'd accumulated. I didn't want to see her more than I had to. Greg helped me move everything into the living room one evening after he got off work. We ordered pizza and barely talked, just boxed and taped and stacked. Jenna came by twice to grab some things, always with Lauren. They barely spoke to me. Just a quiet hey and thanks as they loaded boxes into Lauren's Subaru. I watched from the kitchen, drinking coffee, feeling like a stranger in my own home. On March 13th, she moved the last of her stuff out. I watched from the window as Lauren's car pulled away, brake lights glowing red at the stop sign before disappearing around the corner. And that was supposed to be the end of it. I stood there for a while, just looking at the empty living room. It felt bigger somehow. Emptier. I ordered Chinese food and ate it straight from the containers, watching highlights from a Broncos game I'd already seen. Update 2. 2 days later, on March 15th, I was sitting on my couch watching a Nuggets game when someone knocked on my door around 8 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. Greg was working a night job, and I hadn't ordered food. I opened it, and there was Jenna. Alone. Her eyes were red and swollen. Mascara streaked down her face like she'd been crying for hours. She was wearing the same hoodie she used to wear on lazy Sundays when we'd spend the whole day in bed. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I hesitated, then stepped aside. Against my better judgment. She walked in, wringing her hands, looking around the apartment like she'd never seen it before. I'd rearranged some furniture, taken down the photos of us that used to line the hallway. "I made a mistake," she finally said, her voice cracking. "What?" "I made a huge mistake." She started crying harder, her shoulders shaking. "Lauren and it's not working. It's not real. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what came over me." I crossed my arms, leaning against the kitchen counter. "You told me you loved her. That you wanted a baby with her. That this was real and not a phase." "I thought I did." Jenna sobbed, wiping at her face with her sleeve. "I thought I wanted something different, something exciting. Something that wasn't just routine and predictable. But the moment I left, the moment I was actually out of here and living with her, I realized I gave up everything. I gave up us. And now Lauren's talking about donor catalogs and ovulation schedules and setting up a nursery, and I can't do this. It's too much. It's too fast. So you're here because it got too real?" I asked coldly. "Because playing house with Lauren isn't as fun as you thought it would be?" "No. I'm here because I love you. I've always loved you. I just got confused. I just needed to see what else was out there, and now I know. I know I want you. Please, can we talk about this? Can we fix this?" I stared at her for a long moment. Part of me, the part that still remembered 4 years together, the good times, the inside jokes, the way she laughed at my terrible puns, wanted to sit down and hear her out. But the other part, The part that spent the last 2 weeks packing her life into boxes and sleeping like garbage and explaining to my family why the wedding was off, felt nothing but exhaustion. You're not confused, Jenna. You're scared, I said quietly. You made your choice. Now live with it. Please, Aaron, please. I'm begging you. No. I walked to the door and opened it, the cold March air rushing in. Go back to Lauren. Or don't. I don't care. But you're not coming back here. We're done. She stood there, staring at me like I'd just slapped her across the face. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Then she left without another word, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. I closed the door, locked it, sat back down on the couch, and turned the game back on. My hands were shaking. I didn't watch another second of it. Update 3. Over the next week, Jenna texted me 16 times. I know because I counted. Most of them were long, rambling apologies, essays about how she messed up and needed time to figure things out, and missed me and wanted another chance. A few were angry, accusing me of being cold and unforgiving and refusing to see her side of things. One was just a photo of us from 2 years ago at a friend's wedding, with the caption, "Remember when we were happy?" I didn't respond to any of them. I didn't block her, but I didn't engage either. What was the point? Nothing she could say would change what happened. Then, on March 22nd, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. I'd been getting a lot of spam calls lately, but something made me pick up. Hello. Is this Aaron? A man's voice. Older, maybe mid-50s, with that kind of gruff but polite tone you hear from guys who spent time in the military. Yeah. Who's this? My name is Thomas Brennan. I'm Jenna's father. My blood went cold. I'd met Jenna's dad a handful of times. Nice guy, ex-army, worked in construction management, straightforward and no nonsense. We'd watched football together during the holidays, talked about work and real estate. I had no idea what he wanted, and for a second I thought maybe something had happened to Jenna. Hi, Mr. Brennan. What's going on? Is everything okay? I heard about what happened, he said, his voice steady. Jenna told us everything. About Lauren, about the breakup, about her showing up at your place. And I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. What she did was inexcusable. I wasn't expecting that. My throat tightened. I appreciate that, I said carefully, not sure where this was going. She's staying with us right now, he continued. Things didn't work out with Lauren, as I'm sure you know. And she's a mess. Crying every day, barely eating, sleeping on our couch. But that's not your problem anymore. I just wanted to call and tell you that you deserve better. You always treated my daughter well. You were good to her, good for her, and she threw it away. I told her the same thing. I didn't know what to say. The validation from someone I respected, someone who knew Jenna better than almost anyone, hit harder than I expected. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. Really. Take care of yourself, Aaron. You're a good man. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone, feeling a strange mix of validation and sadness. Even Jenna's own father knew she screwed up. Even the man who raised her couldn't defend what she'd done. Final update. It's been 2 months since everything went down. Jenna stopped texting after her dad called me. I heard through mutual friends, specifically through Greg's girlfriend, who still follows Jenna on Instagram, that she and Lauren tried to make it work for a few more weeks, but eventually called it quits. Too much damage, too much resentment, too much reality crashing into their fantasy. Jenna's apparently seeing a therapist now, living with her parents in Littleton, trying to figure herself out and work through her issues. Good for her, I guess. I got my $10,500 back from the ring refund and put it toward a down payment on a new truck. A Ford F-150, dark blue, exactly what I'd wanted for years, but could never justify buying. Sold the rental property my grandfather left me for a decent profit. The market was hot, got $40,000 over asking, and invested most of it in index funds and a Roth IRA. I've been going to the gym more, reconnected with some old college friends I'd lost touch with during the relationship, even went on a couple dates. Nothing serious yet. One was with a paralegal named Brittany who talked too much about her ex, another with a teacher named Hannah who was nice, but we had zero chemistry, but it's progress. I'm not ready for anything serious anyway. The apartment feels different now. Quieter. I rearranged the furniture, painted the bedroom a darker gray, got rid of anything that reminded me of her. Donated her leftover kitchen gadgets to Goodwill, threw out the throw pillows, replaced the shower curtain. It's mine again. Every corner of it. A few people have asked me if I regret how I handled it. If I should have given her a second chance, talked it out, maybe gone to couples therapy. My mom even suggested it, saying people make mistakes and love is about forgiveness. Honestly, no, I don't regret it. She didn't make a mistake in a moment of weakness. She didn't get drunk and kiss someone at a bar. She made a calculated decision to leave me, plan an entire future with someone else, research fertility clinics, and only came back when that future got too complicated and scary. That's not love. That's convenience. That's wanting a safety net. I'm not bitter anymore. I was for a while. Spent a lot of nights angry, punching my pillow, replaying every moment and wondering what I did wrong. But I've moved past that. I'm just done. Done with that chapter. Done with wondering what if. Done with caring what she's doing or who she's with. I'm focusing on myself now. On building the life I actually want, not the life I thought I was supposed to want. And honestly, I'm doing pretty damn good. Edit 1. Some people asked what happened to Lauren. Last I heard, she moved to Fort Collins for a nursing job and is dating someone new she met through a hiking group. No baby plans, as far as I know. Guess that dream died too. Edit 2. For everyone asking if I'm okay. Yeah, I am. It sucked, but I'm better off now than I would have been married to someone who wasn't sure. Imagine if she'd done this after we were married or after we had kids. Dodged a bullet. Edit 3. No, I haven't heard from Jenna recently. And no, I don't plan to reach out. That chapter is closed, locked, and buried.